welcome to our photo slideshow from our recent safari in Kenya and Tanzania. I'm going to share a few pictures that we managed to get in the first couple of weeks that we spent on safari there in February of 2025. We'll jump right in here with a couple of photos from Nairobi, where we started things off. Margaret and I arrived a day ahead of the start of our group safari and visited the National Museum in Nairobi and hung out in the city a little. I wanted to catch a picture of a typical bus in Nairobi. They're privately owned, and each one seems to be decorated and named with a theme. This one's the Gunners, which is, of course, the Arsenal soccer team, but there are religious themes and pop culture themes that abound in these crazy buses. The next day, we met with our travel group and drove a couple of hours south to the Maasai Simba camp, close to the Amboseli National Park, near the border with Tanzania. I'd also like to introduce our leader and organizer of the trip, Hank Klein. Our guides, Tom and Quenya. Quenya is in the traditional Maasai dress here, welcomed us. And as evening approached, we got our group together and headed out for a game walk. It took a few minutes, but here is one of the moments I won't soon forget. Our first game sighting. Out in the bush, it was a giraffe. It was pretty thrilling to see this for the first time. He was off in the distance, and as we got closer, it became evident there were a couple of the beautiful animals there. We saw some gazelle, some Thompson's gazelle, and continued on, and we started to see a variety of wildlife. Seeing it on foot was very impressive, to be out there with the zebras and the wildebeest. I also found these stickers to be quite interesting. Later on, a couple of hooked stickers ripped my ear up a bit. There's some pretty nasty stickers in the bush. The sunsets and the sunrises were gorgeous. We visited a Maasai village, which was interesting. We got to see how they build their houses, and they are, of course, herders of cows and goats, and were very kind to us tourists, showing us how they've lived for centuries here in Africa. After 2 nights in the Maasai camp, we drove further south across the border into Tanzania and arrived at Arusha National Park. This is Margaret with an elephant statue, and from there we began to see some different wildlife. These baboons, for example. As we approached our next overnight, the Hatari Game Camp, there was this guy, a beautiful giraffe standing right next to the road as if to welcome us. The Hatari Lodge has a deck that overlooks a large basin where there was more wildlife. Just amazing. This is the John Wayne Bar, by the way, in the camp, since it was named after the 1950s movie starring John Wayne, and the rooms were spectacular, huge and luxurious. Sitting and looking out at the wildlife in this basin included giraffe, wildebeest, warthogs, and zebras. We got into a routine of going out on game drives each morning and evening. We'd roll out and drive through the parks. They didn't allow you out of your car or your Land Cruiser for the game drives, so we rolled along, bouncing and lurching on rutted dirt roads to get into the parks and see the game. We drove a little further into Tanzania, into the Tarangire National Park area. We were treated along the way to a banana market at a little village we passed through. Never seen so many bananas in my entire life. We also got a great view of Mount Kilimanjaro. Now here's a stop for lunch along the way. The food was pretty straightforward in Africa. A lot of lentils, potatoes, corn, usually nice fresh vegetables, plenty of chicken, and some beef. Pretty tough beef. The cows were on the thin and stringy side. We saw our first baobab tree in Arusha, and they're pretty impressive. Huge trunks, ancient trees. Here's more zebra, and then some colobus monkeys, which are beautiful. Black and white, long, interesting fur. And then a dik-dik hiding in the woods, and finally we started to see some African elephants in the wild. It was pretty impressive to see these boys up close. Our next stay was at the Ngorongoro farmhouse, a coffee plantation turned into a hotel resort where they have a resident marabou stork an impressive bird. Along the way, we were treated to another visit to a Maasai village where the men came out and danced to welcome us. And we stopped for a school visit as well on our way to our next stop, the fantastic Ngorongoro Crater. The Ngorongoro Crater is a wild bit of geology, and it is in fact a volcano crater that's a huge flat plain inset into the top of a mountain. It's a bit isolated geologically for that reason, but it's a great environment for wildlife. We saw elephants, lions, rhinos, and of course zebra and wildebeest and other antelope, lots of other things. Interestingly, we didn't see any giraffe in the crater, as there are hardly any acacia trees which the giraffe live on. When we arrived at the crater, we took a couple of pictures at the overlook and stayed overnight on the edge of the crater at the Ngorongoro Lion's Paw Lodge. Here we were treated to a wonderful dinner, great happy hour, a beautiful sunset. Here, as at some other camps, we were also advised to only travel from our cabin to the main hall at night with an escort. Between the lions, hyenas, and the elephants, it's not always safe, even within the lodge area after dark. In the crater, we saw some of these bad boys, the Cape buffalo, which is one of the big 5 game animals in Africa. We did end up seeing all 5 of these most dangerous animals to hunt: the elephant, the lion, leopard, rhinoceros, and the Cape buffalo by the time we were done with the safari. And all but the leopard were in the Ngorongoro Crater. We did see a cheetah too, a mama cheetah with some cubs, so that was pretty exciting. And more elephants, as well as a variety of birds, flamingos, egrets, eagles, and of course lots of other species, hippopotamus as well. Even the common starling in Africa is a beautiful bright blue. And this is a Kori bustard, Africa's largest flying bird. Oh, and lots of other tourists in safari vehicles. This hyena was out on the road, and here we finally came upon a lion. A couple of lions, actually, laying next to the road in the crater. And to wrap up this portion of the trip, here's another African sunset. Thanks for sticking with me through this slideshow. Hope you enjoyed it.